to the Sphere. This episode is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. For more information on increasing your cash flow, becoming your own money manager, and to schedule your complimentary personal finance strategy, contact the Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789.
Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, Dr. Ashandra Baptiste understands that one of the biggest obstacles is dental fear. The vision at Elite Dental Wellness is to ensure every patient is treated with respect, ultimate care, patience, and love. Call us today to make an appointment at area code 713-789-8680.
Hi, welcome back to InJustice on the Sphere Sphere Podcast Network. Look at me. I haven't been with you guys in a long time, and I'm all tongue-tied. But either way, you know who we are. I am Alicia Forge, your co-host for InJustice. You can find me on Allie on Sphere. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Allie on Sphere. Same thing. You guys help me warm back up, and I think the person that's going to do just that is my co-host, Kyra Coffee.
Hey everybody, happy Monday. Hopefully you are getting through this dreary day here in Houston, or wherever you are. But we are here. Definitely, we missed you guys last week. But we're going to jump into some hot topics today. Alicia, we're going to get you right back in the flow of things, and myself too, because I was not here last week. But we definitely have some good topics, some kind of sad. We're going to kind of start off with our first topic definitely being something that has been a bad trend so far for 2018, and that's about the Texas shooting that happened in Santa Fe, right outside of Houston. Many know that this shooting took place, and there were 10 deaths that were of students and faculty there. So our first article comes from USA Today, and the suspect in Friday's school shooting may be considered an adult in Texas state courts because he cannot face the death penalty, according to a 2005 federal Supreme Court ruling. Many people found this ironic, with Texas being such a southern conservative state. They would think that we would have the death penalty. But the thing is that even though Texas has been considered 17-year-olds to be adults for the past 100 years when they committed crimes, they had a ruling back in 2005 where the high courts decided to ban the execution of criminals younger than 18 years old, and a 2012 ruling for juveniles facing life in prison meant that our current shooter, Mr. Demetrios Pagotris, I cannot pronounce his last name. I'm very sorry. Are you familiar with his last name, Alicia?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry.
We're just going to go to his first name, Demetrios. He
sounds Greek.
Yeah, it's very different. He could be up for parole in 40 years. Mm-hmm. So many are very appalled by the possibility of this. Now, he does have to go through the judicial system. That does not mean that, this is for certain what he will be, but there is a possibility of him serving life in prison, but having the opportunity for parole in 40 years, which means that he would be 57 at that time. So the fact that he planned such an atrocious act, committed it, took the lives of 10 people, innocent people, one who was even a foreign exchange student from Palestine, I believe, is just very heart-wrenching. There was also another shooting that took place in Georgia at a school. And so just the fact that this is becoming a common trend, we don't want to seem lax on the punishment for it. So I'm hoping that the judge who does take this case obviously cannot under any circumstances give him life. They can give him life, but they cannot give him the death penalty. It's really sad because it's becoming such a norm now. I think we're becoming desensitized to it, because I didn't really see that much of kind of a reaction to it when this first happened over the weekend, which I guess is just kind of showing our desensitivity to the fact that school shootings are happening so often. I believe this is, I saw an article earlier today that said that this was like the 100th or something school shooting. I was like, yo, that's crazy.
And when you think about it, for example, with this child or whomever you want to call him, adult, if you say you're going to be eligible for parole in 40 years, that's your life gone anyway. I mean, and I get it, you know, you would not want, I should say, well, you'd want some form of justice is what would happen. The families, the people have been affected, the trauma that people have to live through in regards to dealing with this. And when you think about it, you know, to me, I've killed you. If you've spent 40, you're not getting out of jail till 60. And there's nothing you can do with your life. I mean, because every possible, none of the skills will translate by the time you leave. I mean, when you think about it, in 40 years, who knows what we'll be. I mean, okay, I was going to say, hopefully I'll be dead, but I'm not that old. But you know, I was like, wait.
No, we still want you here.
Yeah, but no, I mean, but you never know how far society's going to progress, and we do know that when we have people who have spent long times in incarceration, in an incarcerated situation, and that ends up being their entire world, they don't know how to live in the free world without that structure. And then they end up going, you know, recidivism and going back to jail.
Very true.
Because that's all they've known.
Or committing suicide.
So it's kind of like, I mean, first of all, you shouldn't be picking up a gun to shoot and kill anybody. Right. You know, I mean, unless it's in self-defense. But, you know, you know, you should not, especially at a high school. You know, these people are, first of all, kids are just trying to learn, go on with their lives. And, you know, it's kind of like, what is the society coming to where we're feeling that this is okay? Why are we not examining the cultural fabric of what's going on in America to really understand why these things are occurring, to say, hey, there's something going on in our youth that we're not pinpointing, that we're not touching anymore, and they're becoming more and more distant. And when you think about it, I think Texas could probably rewrite this law to make a caveat. You know, like 17, but you killed 10 people. You know, like, I'm sorry. There could be an exception or a carve out for this, though.
And so the issue that they're saying is that the whole reason why they kind of rescinded this so that they do not face the death penalty is because they feel like a child or a youth or a teen under the age of 18, their cognitive skills and their decision-making skills haven't been developed enough to understand the consequences of the actions that they're taking. However, I think that we need to readdress that. I think that at the age of 16, 17, you are aware of the consequences of your actions to this extent. Like you're saying, have some type of caveat or a carve out for something that is this egregious, because he definitely planned this out at home in his journal on his home computer. So there was definitely a thought and a plan to this over a significant amount of time. So because of that, I think that it's twofold. That, okay, yes, he is, a young adult, and, he may not be fully aware, so they say, of his actions and the consequences. But when you do something this egregious and you have the forethought to think through it and plan it and things like that, we need to make, it can't be just that one for all kind of blanket.
I agree.
Because we have degrees and we trust, for the most part, our judicial system and the judges to be able, just like with anything, you have a spectrum of what the sentencing can look like, whether it's 1 to 5 years.
First of all, let's talk about the fact that they don't really have any sensitivities towards sentencing in the African American community. So I'm sorry if I don't have any sensitivities right now.
I know you follow Amanda Seals on Instagram.
No.
Oh my gosh, you have to follow her. You'll love her page.
Okay.
So I know you will, definitely. So somebody posted something and she reposted it, and it was, when are we going to? Now I'm all for. I live in Texas. I'm not originally from here, from Chicago, but I definitely think that people should have the right and access to guns to be able to defend themselves and things like that. Now, do we maybe need more control around, how people are getting access to guns and things like that? Yes. But so she reposted this posting that was like, when are we going to take a look at gun control and not just pass it along until the next shooting and keep passing it along? And it was like, well, when the shooting is a black kid, going and being a mass murderer and killing several white students, then that's when we're going to reform. I'm like, wow, that's
right.
You know,
I mean, I hate to be so cynical.
Hey, that's what happened to a lot of East state states on the East Coast with regards to when Black Panthers came, and everybody was able to use their guns, but the Black Panthers taking up and bearing arms and protecting themselves is what caused a lot of reform for East Coast and I think California too. So
funny how the tide turns when you don't want to be on the when you're the wrong color.
Right.
When you're the wrong color.
That's what happens.
You know, and that's unfortunately the world that we live in. And so with that said, we can continue talking about being a color.
Yes.
But
let's talk about who brought us this portion of the show.
I don't know. Tell me.
This portion of the show is brought by the Houston Housewives of Finance. Did you know that only 4 states in the United States offer financial education? 33% or more than 77 million of Americans do not pay their bills on time. 39% of Americans carry credit card debt from month to month, and 39% of adults say that they do not have enough savings. Don't become one of these statistics. Let Houston Housewives of Finance advise you on increasing your cash flow and becoming your own money manager by scheduling your complimentary personal financial strategy. Contact Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463 or email them at info@houstonhousewivesoffinance.com. Ask them how you can participate in a complimentary financial literacy workshop near you. Houston Housewives of Finance are the new faces of the new age of financial services.
All right.
Thank you, Houston Housewives of Finance.
Yes. I mean, somebody can get their financial house in order.
Yeah.
With that said, let's go to see that California is getting their immigration house in order.
Yes.
And with that said, California just approved a bill that restricted evidence of immigration status. So basically what they did was on Thursday, they would limit evidence regarding a person's immigration status to situations where it was only relevant. So basically, you are not allowed to say, you know, like if I'm involved in some kind of if I'm the victim of a criminal act, and because of that act, and if I am undocumented, for example, then I would not have to be afraid that they're going to ask, are you a citizen?
Right.
Before I can continue. And I think what this stemmed from was the biggest fear that when we have this big push on send everybody away, you're undocumented, these illegals are here, they're villains, they're thugs, whatever. We had a large portion of our undocumented population being very wary and reticent about going and reporting crimes that may have happened to them, or if they have witnessed a crime, they did not want to go and tell, or not even tell, but bear witness to what what happened. And it's sad because when you think about it, the people that are affected are like people who are victims of domestic abuse. I mean, if you're trying to keep your neighborhood safe and you keep seeing these people, like coming around doing all that, but you don't want to call the police because you see something super suspicious. Right. When you think of these immigrants or these undocumented persons, they are really not being there. They're living even further in the shadows. Right. And which is problematic because I don't think people tend to see the bigger picture, which is if they're not reporting crime, our crime is going up. Exactly. Our crime is getting or becoming a bit more rampant than is necessary. Than if somebody would be able to say, hey, you know what? I probably need to call the police. I saw this happen. Something went on. And I feel comfortable doing this. And the bill reads in part, in a criminal action, evidence, and this is criminal, evidence of a person's immigration status shall not be disclosed in open court by a party or his or her attorney unless the judge presiding over the matter first determines that the evidence is admissible in a camera hearing requested by the party seeking disclosure of the person's immigration status. And what a camera hearing, guys, is that it's a hearing done by the judge outside of the confines of the court. It keeps whatever evidence is trying to be brought in out from the public purview, because generally when you're admitting evidence in some kind of criminal or civil matter, it's basically up for open. It's everybody who's in the courtroom can hear whatever evidence you're about to present. But if evidence is so sensitive that it needs to be contained because it could possibly taint the outcome or change or affect the trial in some way. The judge is going to do an in-camera. They're going to pull you back to the chambers. The parties are going to present their arguments, and he's going to make a decision in the back. And so
I think, like you were saying, that goes to the protection of the person who's facing these charges, because if their immigration status has nothing to do with the crime at hand. Let's say I go and it's a criminal action, so I steal something. Just because I went and stole something from the store, that does not imply that my immigration status is anything relevant to the case. And so the reason why that being is so that there's not a bias towards them and the outcome by the jury against them and saying, oh, well, regardless of whether they did it or didn't, they're an immigrant and they shouldn't be here. And it's very important to protect this, because there is becoming, well, I don't know if it's becoming more and more rampant or if it's just becoming more and more known because of social media and technology, but there has been an increase from what I've seen with people, like with this guy in New York, this attorney who attacked the lady in the waitress and the patron in the store, saying that you need to speak English and I'm gonna call ICE on you, automatically assuming that because they were speaking Spanish that they were illegal immigrants and that they needed to be deported. Or and I saw another situation where there were 2 U.S. citizens who were detained by police near the border because he heard them speaking Spanish and automatically assumed that they were immigrants, even though they were in fact U.S. citizens. So there's this jump bias. This bias, exactly, and jump to assumption that someone is an illegal immigrant and shouldn't be somewhere, all because you hear them speak Spanish. So if that is the mindset or the thought process that is being more and more prevalent, obviously that same bias is going to find its way in the courtroom, and people are not going to have a fair and justice or judicial process, if someone does know their immigration status and it's irrelevant to the case.
Exactly.
So I think that it's a good thing. California is definitely progressive, and they're I can't think of the correct term that they coined themselves, but they're protective of immigrants. I've known someone.
I know what you're talking about. It's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah. Sanctuary states.
Yes, sanctuary states. I've known actually a person in particular who moved there, and their world has definitely improved a lot just with the opportunities that they've had there versus here in Texas. So kudos to California. I hope more states, especially those that border Mexico, take note of this. I know it's not.
I'm sorry, that's just wishful thinking for Texas.
I know, but kudos to California.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit, they also did the same thing for their civil cases. So you can't even bring this up in the civil realm, and it's retroactive.
Good.
So if you have something current, yes, if you have something open, if you have if it's not already covered by the previous statute from personal injury and wrongful death. So basically, so they're pretty good with that. But just to let you know, what we're also going to be pretty good at is Facebook Live. We ask that you subscribe to our show on all major platforms, including iTunes. What's going on today?
My Ties?
My Ties. That's what I had before I came. iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. Review our show in iTunes with constructive feedback. Share this on Facebook and post the entire show with your family and friends. Donate to our mission to bring enriched and inspiring content each and every week. You can donate at The Sphere at www.thesphere.tv/donate. We love to have you Facebook Live, but we're going to send you home. You don't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up.
No, but you know what you can do? You can head over to go listen to us live or go catch up on an old podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, you don't come stay the hell in here.
But you got to get on Facebook.
I'm not going to send you away, guys. Okay. But
until next week, guys, on Facebook Live.
Yes. We're happy you're here.
So let's jump into our next topic, which takes us over to Delaware.
Okay.
Another progressive, I think, move that some of our states are taking. Okay. So Delaware has become the first state to outlaw underage marriage. I know you're like, wait, it's 2018 and underage marriage is not illegal in any state. Actually, before Delaware, it was not. So Delaware has become the first state in the U.S. to completely ban marriage for anyone under the age of 18. Their governor, John Carney, signed a House bill into law which went into effect immediately. So this makes it illegal for anyone under the age of 18 to get married regardless of parental approval. Under the previous law, anyone could marry with a judge's approval. Critics of the bill argue that it will clash with religious traditions that condone child marriages. Supporters contend that the bill is a necessary step in ending human trafficking, as children who marry lack standing to apply or comply for divorce. Additionally, married children are likely to drop out of school or become victims of abuse and domestic violence. So I think that this is a great move, and they do make a lot of good points with human trafficking is definitely something that people try to do, or not people, government tries to fight nationally and internationally. It's definitely a really, really widespread, dangerous, and rampant crime or offense that's going on. So the fact that you're ending child marriages is a step in that direction. And they make a very valid point. Children cannot apply for divorce in any state. So it's like you're setting them up for failure and putting them in a situation that they cannot get out of.
And unfortunately, I mean, so look, I could not imagine if I were a parent. I could not imagine saying, you know what, girl,
No.
you grown.
No.
12-year-old, 15-year-old. You know what? I don't even, if I had a child, I wouldn't even want my 18-year-old getting married, much less my 21-year-old. So, I mean, I'm so glad that they saw that parental consent should not, because in essence, what happens when a parent gives consent for a child to be married is that you are now altering the course of that child's entire life.
Definitely.
And so when you think about it, for example, if I was a trash parent, I don't know any other way to say that.
That's the polite way to put it.
It is. If I were that type of person to say, you know what, you can have my 14-year-old daughter, religious beliefs, whatever,
Right.
and they tend to marry these older men,
Yes.
which tend to be controlling men. Look, y'all, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna take it personal. I believe that any man that wants to marry down real
have to,
young,
'cause
you
whatever
trying to
reason
control
would you want
somebody,
to?
because a grown person not gonna deal with it.
Exactly.
So when you think about it, you are now altering that child's what trajectory in
Right.
life as to what they could have done, because now
Right.
you're saddled with this whole person that you,
Right.
and in essence, all they've done is switch the parental role. Because you are still dependent on them
someone.
for
Exactly.
everything.
Exactly.
They are not able. Like if you are under age, like what is it, 16? Isn't it the age to work? Correct.
Yes.
Then if I say, okay, I saddle you with my 14-year-old, you can't even get a job.
No.
You can't find any way to even fend for yourself to say, I'm going to remove myself from this situation. And unfortunately, by the time that child probably is able to do that, Stockholm syndrome probably is set in already. Like, I love my captor.
Right,
You know, like,
right,
so
exactly.
you don't really know what would go on. So I'm just excited at the fact that they would see, because this generally affects women.
Yes.
And so
Young
I'm
girls.
excited that they are really being cognizant of the fact that, look, you know what? We are valuable.
Right.
Regardless of what you say, a woman is
Right.
valuable, and we should have a say about our lives. And in such a great country as this is a very archaic idea. And to bring it to the forefront and say, we're going to take it away, we're going to stop, we're going to now basically say, this is not what is acceptable
Right.
anymore if we're going to be a progressive society. I'm excited.
So there are some of us that are not as progressive
Uh-oh.
because this is something that's more common than I would have expected. There aren't any recent stats, but between the years of 2000 and 2010, there were more than 167,000 children who were married in the U.S. And like you mentioned, Alicia, most of them were young girls married to older men. However, there are states such as Florida, New York, Virginia, thankfully Texas, that have heightened their laws around this, but there are still exceptions to this rule. So several countries, including the U.S., are hoping to target by the year 2030 to end all underage marriages across all several nations, including the U.S. So that's definitely a step in the right direction.
Okay, wait a minute. If we talk about all nations, I might just get even more excited.
That's why I said majority, because you know that there
I
are
was like,
definitely
wait.
I have to go there. I
I'm
wanted to say all, but I had to say majority.
Wait, hold on, India. Hold
Right.
on, China. Wait a minute, we're making
No,
progress.
There are several,
okay.
but we know that there are many.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that this will be a long struggle with, because it is so ingrained in their culture and in their religion. So it'll definitely be an uphill battle for some other countries, but at least there is a program or a United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, and that's where this year 2030, which is really only 12 years from now, So that's definitely it seems long, but the fact that
if
they
I
want
were
to
getting
ban
older,
it,
it would seem long. But
that's true.
but it's
But
just
they want to
right.
ban it, yeah. But so hopefully, this is something that states really take a serious look at, and hopefully, I was wondering, like, when this goes into effect, what about those? Like, can we have a retroactive period, like within a certain time frame?
I mean, let me talk about all the wishful thinking that we would love to have, because there would be some annulled marriages right now, and unfortunately, I think that would be a little bit too disturbing on our.
But but at least Governor John Carney did make this effective immediately.
Yeah, no,
so
that's
there wasn't
good.
any.
So
like,
whoever was about to go down there
time.
tomorrow, I'm sorry,
Not
son,
gonna
you missed
happen.
out.
Not
I'm
gonna
sorry,
happen.
no. But what I'm not sorry about is that this portion of the show is sponsored by The Sphere. Are you starting your business and looking for a place to advertise? Do you have a need to reach out to thousands of people across the world to build your brand or sell your product? If so, get your product placement and advertising needs handled right here at The Sphere. We offer a wide variety of content delivery platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Plus, we have a vast demographic reach within the United States, as well as modern countries across the globe. Our enriched content and inspiring dialogue coupled with your strategic ad is surely to hit the mark every time. Call us today at area code 832-772-7789 or send an email over to advertise@thesphere.tv. Now, before I was like assaulting myself with the mic, I don't know if I'm blowing out like you guys who's watching ears on the podcast. My apologies. It was too close to the end. And I hate to tell you that we're kind of coming to the end of our show, but we have one more thing for you. Okay? And that is to tell you, people are still fed up with their invasion of their privacy. I'm fed up, you fed up, we all fed up, right? So basically what happens is we're going to say we're putting our foot down. We're saying some citizens are saying we're not taking it anymore, and Android users are filing a lawsuit against Facebook for an invasion of privacy. And so basically what's going on is that users of the Android mobile operating system filed a class action suit against Facebook on Wednesday, and it's basically alleging that Facebook is continuing to collect their data and store their information in its Android version of Facebook mobile application in a scope in a manner that is beyond that which users knowingly authorize. And so the big thing about it is that they're saying that Facebook is basically getting permission to gather call logs, text logs, years worth without their consent. Yo, I don't want anybody in my phone like that.
No.
Like, not that I do anything in my phone like that,
but
still, it's my phone. Who I contact is my business. And the fact that I put a third-party app on here, which, I mean, I don't. That's why you shouldn't use Facebook for your SMS. I don't know who does that. Don't do it. I don't.
When people call from Facebook,
yeah,
why are you calling?
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Please use the number that you have, and if you don't have it, it might be a reason. But so with that said, and the plaintiffs in the lawsuit are alleging that the gravity of the consequences of Facebook's conduct outweigh any justification, motive, or reason. Therefore, particularly considering the available legal alternatives which exist in the marketplace. Such conduct is immoral, unethical, unscrupulous, offends established public policy, and is substantially injurious to plaintiff and other classes. We have been fighting a privacy battle for quite some time. We are finding, who was it, the guy that just... Cambridge Analytica, where they were just selling all of your data and beyond the scope. When you downloaded an app, it took your stuff. But not only did it take your stuff, it took your friend's information too. And guys, I understand data is valuable. You want to market to us. You want to get into our brain and our psyche and implant stuff there. But
this says, there are legal alternatives such as just getting consent. It's not that hard.
Let me tell you, so back in law school, I actually wrote the paper to get out of law school. I'm sorry, that's what we got to do. Did that sound bad? Did that sound as bad as I felt about it?
Yeah.
But okay, so look, guys,
I felt you on that one.
we got to write a paper to get out of law school, and
Your final, whatever.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And so the paper that I wrote to let me walk across the stage was basically about the fact that people give consent so easily
and do not
without
read,
knowing or reading what they want to do and how much is. I mean, I remember the title of the paper, but do I agree? And it's talking about the versions of consent in electronic mediums.
And the thing, even if you read it, most of the times you feel like, well, if I want access to this, I don't have a point. But if I want a Facebook account, I don't have any other alternative.
It's unfair bargaining power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why even read it if I know I have to agree anyway to get to it? So it's that. I don't want to say willful ignorance, because in that point
it's not willful, because, and so my thing about it is, and I forgot, it's not even it's unfair bargaining power, but it's undue burden, because when you think about it, if it's okay because there are other alternatives. You don't have to use Facebook. You could use something else.
Right.
The part about it is that they put so much stuff in verbiage and in language that people don't understand and aren't going to read. And we just, I mean, because let's just be real. As attorneys, we don't read everything. I mean, hey guys, I don't
have no contracts and I don't read it.
I have signed for stuff and I don't read it. Why? Because I'm still a human.
Exactly.
You know, and so even in still, I mean, not real for real contracts, but you know, but just the regular, like, do you agree to these terms and consent, the terms and conditions that when we download that app and they tell us,
I don't have a choice,
I'm really not going to spend 10 minutes reading the terms and conditions. I mean, if somebody would like to start a site called Terms and Conditions where they outline in regular language for all of these, you know what? Let me shut my mouth. Let me shut. What am I doing? What am I doing? But even then, still. And when we think about it, you know, as people are moving forward, I think we're kind of going in a vacuum where we're not real. When we were so energized to have everything, that we were willing to also give up everything. Right. And we're realizing, wait a minute, there are effects in giving away everything that we're not really thinking about. And those effects are our privacy and your ability to, like I was telling somebody, when you're, I mean, people still say, like, that's never happened to me. And I say it's happened to me all the time. When I think about something and it is on my phone in an ad, and it's happened to me more than once.
You know what's become even creepier to me? When I get, and this is, it has to do with privacy. When I get in my car, and how the heck does it know that I'm in my car? And then it'll say 15 minutes to the Sphere, 7 minutes to home. Like, just knowing that, okay.
You've just tracked my schedule, basically.
Yes.
You have just basically, and that's
even though I don't always, use my Google Maps or this and the other, but it is still on because of locations, and you're definitely tracking. And with, like, the Android users, they didn't realize that they were automatically granting permission for Facebook to gather calls and text logs for a year's worth of information. And I was talking to people, young and old, don't realize what they're giving access to, like you mentioned. I was talking to a young man last year, and he was like, well, if I delete it off my phone, and I said, no, sweetheart, like, that is not the way that the cloud and technology works now. Once it's out there, it's out there.
I understand, like, okay, Snapchat is gone. Okay, if you want to believe it, it's gone. If you think for a minute that that's gone, like, I got 2 bridges in Brooklyn I could sell you, and I want my money in cash. So, I mean, it's kind of like there is more, and when I see it, because when we thought about it, there was just something else. The UK, had to bring my thought around. The UK just put in stricter sanctions about privacy. I hate the fact that Europe is more progressive.
When it comes to this, they definitely are.
This kinds of stuff
they definitely are.
Than America. But the UK just put in new laws for privacy for their citizens to say, like, you can't just have blanket access. If you're going to give access, you have to give the terms and services to our citizens, to our and European Union citizens.
Right.
In a way that is understandable for them. So when I open the phone and I touch the terms and conditions, I can read and comprehend. I don't have to be a trained lawyer, to read that. Facebook and some of these other major platforms are saying they're going to follow the spirit
No.
of what's happening in the UK, but they're not going to follow to the extent of which they're requiring by law, which is problematic, which is what I'm hoping that this is trying to push forth, which is more privacy, because I just don't feel comfortable with you. Like I like to tell people all the time, it's not gone.
No. And what I realized Facebook was when this whole ordeal first came to light was that Facebook is really a marketing tool that is collects your data and your information, and in turn for it, they give you the social, connection.
Yep.
But the main goal of social media is not to connect you with your friends and family.
No.
The main goal of social media is to track you and your habits, your likes, and this, that, and the other, to be able to sell that to people, businesses, big and small, to be able to market to you. Whether you go to their website and then you're trying to figure out, well, wait, I went to their website. How am I getting a message on Facebook saying, hey, you start spending your basket over here? And just that whole tracking, that's the real goal and purpose of Facebook.
I don't enjoy, it is totally off topic, when I go to a site and I've shopped and I leave it in the basket. I left it there for a reason. Don't send me no email talking about, oh, you have left. I left it in the basket.
Or you're seeing it on your Facebook timeline like, oh, reminder, ding, 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 go buy this. That is the whole, and people are paying for that ad and that accessibility on Facebook. You're not paying for it, but somebody is, and those are the businesses that are paying for it.
Because I'll search a brand in Google. It shows up in my Facebook ads. It shows up in my whatever ad I'm doing. And I think this is what we're really concerned about. And people need to be concerned about their privacy.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, once that information is out there about you, it's
there.
not going anywhere.
Exactly.
I mean, and like I said, and I'm very, very, very active and vocal about young people and all this, like, I'm snapping, I'm doing it. Dude, don't take no pictures of me unless I say it's okay. Like,
but
I
even
don't
with
want
your
to be
text
caught.
messages, to have a text log, like texting now, that's private.
I don't want you to know what I'm saying. But do you know what I've started to do, even in still? I've even become more trained in myself to say, I don't want this in text.
Yeah.
I've started, I might need to see you.
Yeah.
And it sounds a lot, but I'm realizing so much can get saved
in third-party
here
hands.
That I'm just like, you know what? Like, I had a conversation, like, I was texting somebody today, and they were like, you want to call me? I was like, no, I can say it here. I said, actually, I'm going to call you, because everything that I need to say, I don't want this to ever get out to anybody else. So I prefer to have a conversation with you.
Right.
So, I mean, hopefully this lawsuit will bring about some change and protect us a little bit more, because we need it, because Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
I think the best thing is when he first started Facebook, they said, how are you getting all those people to give you their information? He's like, they're stupid. They're just giving it to me.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So, I mean, I'm paraphrasing.
I mean, that is what it is,
but they're just like, how are you getting these people to give you all of this information when Facebook
because they think it's about social connection,
and they're
not
just
realizing
giving me it for free. Okay, Mark, thank you. Your premise hasn't changed. That's the foundation of your company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of protection, this portion of the show is brought to you by Elite Dental Wellness. Get your teeth protected. At Elite Dental Wellness, their vision is to create a welcoming practice that will offer exceptional dental care and a lifetime of dental wellness. They are committed to the finest possible oral care and the overall health and well-being of their patients. Elite Dental Wellness is built upon a foundation of integrity, expertise, and service. Through their commitment to modern dentistry, continuing education, and a friendly atmosphere, they strive to make their patients feel that they are part of the family. Dentistry can be scary, daunting, and uncomfortable. Dr. Baptiste and her team work tirelessly to ensure your comfort. Make your appointment today with Dr. Asandra Baptiste at Elite Dental Wellness by calling 713-789-8680. So with that, guys, we've gone from Texas to Cali to Delaware and then kind of all over with our Android users.
To America.
So
continent.
Exactly. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode of InJustice. Be sure to follow us on all of our platforms and outlets. You can find me on Instagram at attorney_coffee, and you can find my lovely co-host Alicia.
Oh my gosh, that's me, right? Oh, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram at AllieOnSphere. We love to have you here every week, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yes.
And Kyra, I'm looking forward to see you again next week.
Yes, most
But
definitely.
until then, thank you for tuning into The Sphere, and have a good evening.